go live on YouTube right now. Here we go. Maybe. We'll find out in three, two, one. What's up, everybody? Straight Facts, homie. The three amigos are back live on YouTube. Gonna react to the Patriots end of season. The EOS. And is it Bill Belichick's end of career for the Patriots, for his career? Will he be coaching somewhere else? We'll talk about that, probably majority of that in just a moment or so. We'll kind of build the live stream just for a second. If let's see, if you're finding us after the fact, I imagine this is the last one. I would think, this is the Patriots end of the season. I don't think we're going live for, maybe we'll do a Super Bowl live one. Who knows? The options are endless. Let me just retweet here. And I think if you guys are good, we are ready to rock.
Sounds good.
Do it.
Here we go. In 3, 2, 1. Welcome back in, ladies and gentlemen, into the one and only Straight Facts, homie, a TV show, a podcast, a way of life as the Patriots season comes to an upsetting and disappointing end. Fall to a 4-13 season. No one imagined that in 2023, 2024. There's Walter Sabina, John Lyons. I am Mason Souza. Over the next 15, 20 minutes live in the first quarter on YouTube. We will react to the Patriots and Bill Belichick. Is this his last game? Will they make the decision to part ways? Will he be back for one more? Because, guys, what a way to end an upsetting season in a loss to the Jets, a team that you've owned since the Obama administration.
Yes.
So that's pretty crazy. And with that being said, I'll toss it to you guys. Your takeaways, not just from this game, but a 4-13 season and possibly Belichick's last game as head coach.
Yeah, it was a very fitting end to what had been a terrible season. Hell, even going back to, last season, if you're looking at the whole body of work of what Bill Belichick's done the last couple of years and why he's in the position he's in at this point. And, you look at, granted, the weather was a little crappy, not the best, but that's usually when the Patriots play their best in the past for the last 20 years, and that's what we're used to. But, the offense was, in my opinion, abysmal. I think the only play that really stood out for me, I wrote in my notes, was that 33-yard pass to Jalen Reagor. Offensive line, the struggles that are all there. I think Bailey Zappi got sacked 7 times, and just the inability to get really anything going. And just, like I said, overall, it just culminates in a 17-3 loss against the team that you've owned for the better part of the last decade and a half. And, I believe for the rest of this quarter, after we go with our opening takes, we're going to talk about the future of Bill Belichick and like I said, what his future holds. And, I don't even know at this point. So, John, I'll toss it to you. I mean, like a disappointing finish to the season, but very fitting. And, lots of questions with Bill Belichick about to have his meeting with Robert Kraft on Monday. It's currently Sunday as we record this. And, there's going to be lots to unpack in the next couple of days when we get the details of that meeting.
Yeah, I was there today in the crowd, and it's one of those things where a lot of times at the end of the season, especially this century, you'll have that last home game, and usually it's about playoff seeding or fighting for the playoffs. So this year was kind of a different vibe to this game completely. And of course, you had the weather on top of it. And I thought, honestly, guys, this game was a perfect microcosm of the Patriots season. Defense played well pretty much all game, gave up 17 total points, but for the majority of the game, they played really well, even better than 17 points would indicate. And their offense got 119 total yards and couldn't do anything. I think they had under 50 yards passing the ball. I mean, they ran the ball okay at times, but for the most part didn't. They couldn't really do anything up front. Walter, you mentioned the 6 sacks. Jalen Reagor had the nice 33-yard catch, but nobody other than that could really get open. I mean, Bill O'Brien even called some trick plays that didn't work. So it just felt like, your defense, once again, I mean, I feel like after almost every post game this year, I've said your defense played well enough to win and your offense didn't. And they capped off the season in yet another game where their defense played well enough to win and their offense didn't. And I think, when you watch this team play, and we've seen it all year, you just see an offense that's not good enough to live up to NFL standards. And that's going to be priority number 1, 2, and 3 this offseason. And again, I think today was a perfect microcosm of all the problems they've had on offense this year.
Yeah, I see in the comment section on YouTube here, Jason chiming in. He actually took away my first take. They're saying the kind of takeaway was that it got a real good sense that this was Belichick's last game, at least here as a head coach, because it was mentioned from start to finish from the broadcast team. So, and obviously the coaches, if you know, inside baseball here, um, the coaches have like a one-on-one with the broadcast team the day before the game, and like they kind of give them some dirt inside stuff that they can use on air without like kind of going off the record kind of deal. And yeah, it seemed like a farewell goodbye. Here's what it is. Here's the record. Here's how many wins right behind Don Shula. This, that, the 6 Super Bowl wins here, yada, yada, yada. The whole works, the whole grand finale kind of deal. Um, it just got that sense, and you guys, you know, echoed it, you know, to lose to a bad Jets team. Um, you know, obviously they have been bad for some time now. You know, they've owned them for 15 straight wins. Obviously they were due at this point. But I mean, what a way to end the year. You would think that the article that came out earlier in the week of the Boston Herald, if you happen to see it, just kind of echoed a lot of dysfunction in the organization, a lot of players that have given up on the season and the coaching staff. And you'd think just one more game possibly with the head coach, with Bill, give them there was a lot of respect for Matt Slater, you know, in the pregame, captain number 18 there, which that could be his last game as well. Um, just one more for the coach, and they just didn't show up. You know, offensively speaking, did not show up. Zappi has thrown 5 interceptions in the last 2 games, and that is just one of the many problems on this football team. It's crazy to think, but it's true. You know, 53-man roster, 50 might be different next year. It's crazy to think who is going to be here in 2024, but the changes start now. The changes may have already started. As Walter, you mentioned, they speak on Monday. This is going on air live on Vimeo and TKM TV. After the fact, he may already be fired at this point as we're speaking. Only people live on YouTube right now are in the know. But if I can just get to it right now, I think if the report earlier in the year was true that he is locked up for one more year, or if there's an extension, I think this is I'm going to use the word, too embarrassing of a season, of a way to end the year. The mention of dysfunction all up and down one Patriot place. It's going to be a mutual parting the ways, my opinion, and I don't think Bill is back next year.
Yeah, I mean, you know, in my mind, I'm still trying to think back of the last 20 years we've had of all the success, and you try to hang on to any sort of grip of anything you can. And, you know, in my heart, you know, I want Belichick back. I mean, what I've been telling everyone that I've been talking to is if there's a way that after this meeting, Belichick can be back as the coach, but somehow he's willing to give up some of those duties as general manager, whether they bring someone in and, you know, he's working alongside them. I know Belichick has said in the past he wants to coach guys that, you know, he wants. And so that's kind of why we're in the position we're in. So I don't know if when he sits down with Kraft, this is the direction they take. Like, hey, Bill, you know, you get, you know, full reign still. This is it. This is why we're in the position we're in. We're going to bring someone in. You can still coach, and then like the discussion will go from there. So I just we've talked about it on the show before. I don't know if Belichick's going to be the guy to give up that duty where he wants to coach guys that, you know, he wants, instead of bringing someone in and kind of selecting the guys for him. He's built up a good foundation here in New England. So why would he give that up now? So, you know, like I said, all good things have to come to an end at some point. So I'm kind of like 50-50. And I think, you know, that meeting is going to be probably one of the most important meetings in Patriots franchise history, and it will set the tone for the future moving forward. So again, whenever anyone's watching this, we may or may not know the future of Bill Belichick. And like I said, it's going to be a massive meeting, and we'll have to find out the details after that.
Yeah, one thing too, what I noticed today on your earlier point, Mason, I don't think the offense didn't show up. I think they just stink. Like, I think that's the problem. I felt like the guys were fighting hard out there. They did want to win. I just think, you know, when you're a bad offense and you're in horrible conditions, like I was not shocked by what we saw today. And it's funny. If there was one word I could use to describe the atmosphere today at Gillette Stadium, it would be finality. Like, there was just this sense of, like, you knew it was Matt Slater's last game, even though he hasn't officially said it, with the sweatshirts before. You're like, okay, so people kind of sensed like, okay, this is the end for Slater. It might be the end for David Andrews. I know he came out after the game and said it's not, but it kind of felt that way when the game started. And then, of course, there was the elephant in the room that was Bill's future. And even the whole vibe around the stadium today, from even the two teams playing into the crowd, everything, it was just this sense of finality and that it was going to come to an end. And what I wish would happen, and I don't think it would happen, is if Kraft told Belichick, you are going to be the head coach only for the next year or two, and player personnel is no longer your thing, then I think Bill could stick around. But I think Bill's probably going to say no to that. And I understand why he would say no too. He's had this power for 20 plus years. He's won 6 Super Bowls as the chief decision maker. He can probably go somewhere else and be the chief decision maker. So I get it. But I think if he were to say yes to that, that's the one path I think to him sticking around, because Kraft is not going to have him here with business as usual. Kraft is not going to have him here with even a little bit less power. I think it's going to have to be kind of a major change in the power structure in the front office. And maybe then Bill sticks around. And by the way, I think even if Bill sticks around, we're going to see a lot of new faces in Foxborough next year. Players, coaches, scouts, personnel staff. There's going to be a lot of new faces. And of course, if he doesn't stick around, we're going to see even more new faces. But that's why, like I said, there was a sense of finality, because I think there was a lot of people there playing and coaching today and part of the organization that come the draft, come minicamp, are not going to be there anymore.
You're watching and listening to Straight Facts Home, the final live stream, at least reacting to the Patriots-wise of the 23-24 season. Happy New Year to everyone. I broke the Larry David rule. I apologize. I'm way past the New Year. Happy New Year time. But John, to your point of, the option of staying coach, remaining GM, and I know you said this, John, but no half measures, Walter, for our Breaking Bad fans. But I just think that's a half measure there. And I know you had this take on EEI. I heard you, John. The people that are maybe celebrating or clamoring that we're done with Belichick, for me personally, why I think it's over and why I want to move on, I'm not kicking him out. I'm not slamming the door on Bill Belichick. I'm thankful for, obviously, the 23 years that he's been here as head coach. I think it's just one of those situations where it's time for a new voice. Yeah, again, like I go back to the dysfunction that has happened in the last couple years now. There is a lot of, I don't know, but at least reports, unconformed reports that like people, players, staff are not on the same page, and that can lead to a dysfunctional team. And this is what we've said. And it's crazy that I've been using this word this much to describe a Bill Belichick Patriots team, but that's where we are. And that needs to change, in my opinion. So at that point, yes, Bill can have this conversation with Robert and say, hey, well, Mr. Kraft, you said way back a year ago that, you put this presser out that we're, bringing in an offensive coordinator. It's basically your decision. You brought back O'Brien, and look where the offense got us. And that can get into a messy situation. Kraft goes to Belichick's like, well, I'm your boss, whatever, you listen to me. And then it can get messy from there if Bill doesn't want to secede the idea of, no, I'm staying, or no, I'm keeping all the power that you give me in the first place. So it could get messy. I hope it does not. But in the end, when all things considered, will June 2024 be both Brady and Belichick going into the Patriots Hall of Fame? That'd be really cool. They see something like that, everyone in good terms, one final time. But I just don't see Belichick remaining here and things getting like, okay, now we're a playoff team, or now we're a wild card team. There's so many holes to be filled. And I just don't think, yes, the greatest coach of all time, in my opinion, the most accomplished, the most brilliant, especially on the defensive side of the ball, situationally, everything that like that. But bottom line, the phrase I'll say is, the time has come. It's time for a new voice.
Yeah, I guess the final 2 points for me would be, one, if Kraft, wants to bring Belichick back mainly for, what we all think Belichick is still coaching for, and is that all-time wins record, would Robert Kraft, despite the team's failures so far, be like, hey, Bill, I'm going to bring you back because I want to see you break that record as the New England Patriots head coach. I don't want you to do the bulk of the work here and then go to Los Angeles or, wherever he would end up possibly, and then you get the wins record there. But at the same time, you don't want to see that take 3-4 more years where we're winning 5-6 games a year, and then we're ruining the foundation that Robert Kraft has built with Belichick and Brady. So, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see how that kind of plays into into their meeting. And then the other point is, if Belichick is gone, who do you bring in? I know that's probably more of a discussion for the offseason, but do you hire from within? Do you promote Gerard Mayo, who we had heard murmurs of being that next guy, and then keeping Bill O'Brien and however you want to do director player personnel or general manager? Or do you just rip the Band-Aid right off, clean house, and start completely fresh, maybe have another down year or two, but you've got a new foundation with new fresh voices in there to try to move this team forward? So again, it all comes down to what does Kraft want to stick through with it, because he's always been about the accolades and the single person accolades. And if Bill Belichick can get it, cool, you've done it as a New England Patriots head coach, and I think Robert Kraft would really honor that. But again, these past couple seasons haven't been Robert Kraft's cup of tea. So again, it's lots up in the air and lots of speculation at this point, depending on when you're watching.
Yeah, and I think another piece of this is whichever direction they go, they're going to have to move pretty quickly, because if they decide to keep Bill, they're still going to probably have to make changes in the personnel department, and free agency's only, a couple months away, then the draft. You got to get on top of this pretty quickly. And if they decide to move on from Bill, you're not just hiring a new head coach, you're also going to be hiring a new GM. So you're going to be hiring two people for two really important positions in one of the most pivotal off seasons in franchise history. So I'm glad they're meeting on Monday. I 100% would not want to see Belichick let go on Monday. I think he's earned way more than that. I think it would be later in the week, but I think it's something that's, whichever way this goes, I think we're going to hear about it this week, because I think if they decide to keep him, again, they got to make those other changes soon. If they decide to move on, they got to get a move on interviewing and ultimately hiring the candidates they want for two huge jobs as quickly as possible. So I think this is something that's going to happen pretty quickly. And I know we'll probably talk about this more in some of our later shows in the weeks ahead. But I think, if there's one word Patriots fans should come away with all this with, is gratitude, right? So if he stays, yeah, you can still criticize him when he makes wrong moves and hold to a high standard, but you can still be grateful for all the success here. And if he moves on, I think there should still be a lot of gratitude there for everything that he helped build, just much like there is with Tom Brady. Same deal, right? There should be a lot of gratitude there for him. Criticizing him for drafting N'Keal Harry doesn't mean that you aren't grateful for 6 Super Bowls, right? It can be, two different things there. So I think that's something that, I think sometimes gets lost in these offseason and coach firings, because people are so excited to who's the next guy, what are we doing next, where it's okay to take a little time to appreciate what was here for 24 years as head coach. And I think, like I said, no matter which way they go, I think we're going to know by Wednesday or Thursday what that direction is.
And also, no matter which way they go, there will never be another 24 years like this ever again, especially like realistically, and probability says something like this will never happen again, especially in the NFL. Looking at your comments as we end the first quarter here, right from the top, Brandon, no days off times 1,000. Well, a little less than that. The Patriots have a golfing season. Shano with "It's finally over," mercifully, the season at least. Will it be for Belichick? And Jason here in the comments, I mentioned my opening take. I'm going to give credit to Jason because he had it first here, about the broadcasters, like, with the graphics all throughout the day, saying too many times of talking about Belichick. It looks like it might be his final time if they knew something. Mentions the exchange, the handshake between him and Robert Saleh at the end. It looked like Saleh wanted to say something, a little something, but it was like, I'm done.
Yeah, I'm above you, pal. Yeah.
But the big old embrace with Aaron Rodgers, his best friend, it seems like he complimented Aaron Rodgers more than he did Tom Brady in 23 years. But be that as it may, that's just is what it is. Shane saying Jaden Daniels to the Pats.
Well, they do officially have the 3rd overall pick, so
I was going to say, so we'll talk about this. Obviously, we have a 2-part draft day, long time from now. Well, probably not too long, a couple months, it will creep up on us. He is not a top 10 pick, is he? Or has he evolved to that?
They like him.
Really?
We can get into this in our draft show, but right. I actually think his evaluation is going to completely hinge how the Patriots approach the draft.
Well, we will see. We will see if it's the wide receiver out of Ohio State, or if it's quarterback, we will have plenty of time to discuss that. For Walter Sabina, John Lyons, and Mason Souza, thank you to everyone who has watched and followed us along on YouTube. For everybody else, we still have 40 minutes to get to with everything else in Week 18. Playoff implications. Playoffs are here, and we'll get to it right now. Second quarter, straight facts only. Thank you, everybody on YouTube. Talk to you next time.